I guess he finds out that you are a sociopath, and the game treats that like it's a superpower. And I was like, he's like, yeah, I'm a sociopath, so things like that don't bother me. And I was like,
High functioning sociopath, I think is what they
I was
said.
like, I was like, that's not how sociopathy works.
Hello and welcome to another Dead Pixel. We're a podcast about video games, anime, entertainment, life, a little bit everything in between. I'm your host, as always, Joe, and with me today, the gentleman who is celebrating it like he wants to, and it is now October, so he is putting up his Christmas decorations. Nick, how you doing, Nick?
You can't do this to me. You can't do this to me. I will not. I will not allow that. That is a falsehood and a bald-faced lie.
I'm
Uh,
sorry, you actually started last week when it was still the end of September, and you're like the way God intended. 4 months of Christmas. Blast the Christmas carols now, and
you're
give out
supposed. You're
candy
supposed.
for Halloween.
You're supposed to put up your Christmas decorations on Labor Day. Everybody knows that. um, no, I actually just had this conversation with somebody at work. They said, Halloween, when you put up your Christmas, or it's time to put up your Christmas decorations. And I was like, no, sir. No, 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 no. You have to put up your Halloween decorations. You have to do Halloween, and then you have to do Thanksgiving. And traditionally, you're supposed to put up your Christmas decorations the day after Thanksgiving on Black Friday. So you go do your shopping, you come back home, you eat leftovers and watch football, and if it's I think that's usually on, and you put up your Christmas decorations, and that is the way it's supposed to be. And then you're supposed to take your Christmas decorations down on New Year. Somebody was telling me something about how you're actually not supposed to put up your Christmas decorations until Christmas. Like it's like there was an older tradition or an original tradition where you don't have Christmas decorations up. You actually put them up on Christmas, and and they're supposed to like last from then until like nearly spring or something like that. And I was like, that's crazy. I can't get behind that. So anyway, that's where I stand. Labor Day Christmas decorations.
I
Take it to
was
the
going to
bank.
introduce you as just like Costco. He has his Christmas decorations up already. But yeah,
That's not bad either.
yeah,
Yeah.
the I actually don't mind. Uh, I don't know. I always think that the earliest businesses to start shelling out for Christmas is after Halloween, and it's funny because I find that the people in our neighborhood specifically, I feel like people draw a line in the sand. Like either Halloween is uh my holiday or it's Christmas, and it's like
Mm,
we can't do both. Only one is above the rest, and that's the one we have to go hard on.
mm.
Like because we have some people who just love the I don't know 8 foot tall, 12 foot tall skeletons and stuff like that, and they do the whole like it's kind of like Attack on Titan, skeleton from behind over the house and stuff like that. We're like, man, you guys, where do you put your crap when you're done? Like
That's pretty wild. Yeah.
that's actually the big question is like, how do you afford space for anything else? Uh,
Maybe
and
they
I
have like a
actually don't.
warehouse or something, like a really big, like a
There's a
barn.
number of houses around here that that's not just it'd be different if it's just that one. Oh yeah, it's like the O'Douls or something. You're right that one house down at the end of the road. It's they always it's multiple houses are like fully committed to the bit, and I'm like wow. And there's a couple that do similar with Christmas, but they like to put it's it's instead of like everyone it's like you either go now it seems like everyone goes inflatable. So you have a couple houses that just look like just nothing but those pop-up inflatables for Christmas time. I'm like, I don't know if I like that or not. Because one or two is cute, but when you have the whole yard decked out with everything, um and then there's the other we have a couple other houses that do the opposite where they're like, no, 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 them and their neighbor. It's kind of interesting combination, but they go into like particle board or plywood, like just flat art. Like the train set, the presents, the Christmas sleigh, and everything like that. The nativity scene, but they do it in conjunction together, so their decorations kind of go from one house to the other, but it's all flat. So it's just like when you if you aren't looking at it, like it doesn't look that great when you're looking at it from the side, but then when you go in front of the house, like, oh, okay, that looks nice. But it's like, okay, that makes sense because you just literally, like, flat pack it. You can throw it under the crawl space or throw it in the attic or tie it to the roof of the top side of your garage or something. In a shed fits a lot more convenient. But yeah, it's just like once again, you go hard on one or the other, and I'm like, man, the only thing I don't like is having to try to put up lights because ladders are not my friend. Uh, so
It's pretty
you know,
dangerous. It's pretty dangerous when you have like a bunch of lights and a ladder and you're way up high and it's yeah, I mean, I was just going to say like putting up Christmas decorations right now in Texas is the most insane thing to me. I think it was like 94 degrees today. Um like that's just like I mean it may as well be Christmas in July. Like that's pretty much it's just too much for my mind to fathom.
you guys are like Texas is like Australia, then I guess, right?
Pretty
Yeah.
much,
No,
pretty much.
live there, and no, I mean,
We're just like roasting the duck on the concrete that we're just gonna eat for Christmas dinner. I was gonna say something else too. Um dang it, it was something about Christmas. Oh well, I lost it. I'll come up with it later.
but yeah, like I said, the only positive is there's more due to the lights being on. Like for Christmas lights and stuff like that. You can actually see down the neighborhood when you walk the pets at night and stuff, especially with the being a little further north. It gets darker quicker for sure. So we're like, yeah, it's actually kind of nice to be able to see the street better. Because I think I told this story once before. We finally got like a street, like a couple lampposts put up around our neighborhood because we didn't have anything beforehand, and almost none of the houses really put up like no one really leaves their house porch light on. So I remember letting the dog out once, and it was like kind of foggy evening, and I look out and I'm like, that's a bright light out there. Like, when did that lamppost get put up? Like, seriously, like, has that hasn't always been there. And I was just like, I'm just like blanking. I'm like, really? How long has that been? And the only thing that came to mind was like, this looks like the cover to The Exorcist.
Oh.
Standing there, like, if something comes up underneath that light, I am bolting inside the house.
Where'd all this fog come from?
It was pretty surreal. But I'm like, surely I didn't just now notice the lamppost just because it's a foggy evening. But they, and then I asked some other people, yeah, we didn't notice when they put them up either. I'm like, well, I'm glad, but at the same time, it was just like, couldn't they at
True.
least put a few more up? They only put up on like every major, like only the intersections. They didn't actually put them up on the actual like sidewalk portion, just the intersections. I'm like, well, at least you can maybe not get hit by a car as easily. But I'm like, a
It's
few
your
more would have been nice, guys.
it's
All right,
it's your tax dollars at work.
yeah, right. All right. Well, honestly, just what you do is you put up your Christmas tree now, and therefore and leave and then take it down after it browns. When it becomes a fire hazard. Then it makes good kindling. So just
I just have a plastic tree. I just
well, I mean, we all know that you're the alleged arsonist in the group here, so you probably just set that on fire too.
alleged. I'll
You
have my
you you've got
lawyers.
me saying that. You got me trade that. Yep. All right. So you're like, well, when you light the Christmas lights on fire, they change colors that way. Uh, but yeah, the I actually know of some people up in Wisconsin. They literally burn their old Christmas lights, and it causes an actual color change in the lights. Yeah, and the fire. I'm like, they make powder for that, guys. They make legit powder instead of just burning plastic and chemicals.
Yeah,
Yeah,
why are we burning these chemicals and like are they
keep
huffing
my
them?
nails in
Like
That's all I gotta say. All
I
right.
mean like I feel
How you
like
doing?
I feel like they might be seeing colors because they're like breathing in the fumes rather than okay. All
All
right.
right.
Well, to each their own.
All right. Well, let's see here. We didn't get to talk about it last week because of all the new news that was popping off. Between the Xbox and PlayStation events. So let's get to talking about what we actually got to play. You got pretty far into, and I completed. Hell is Us. So. Why don't you kick us off with your impressions?
Yeah, so I made it about 12 or 13 hours before I kind of lost interest. Um, I felt like I could probably keep playing a little bit, but I could also tell it was not going in a direction that I was particularly loving. I've I have how do I say this? My rage about this game has cooled a little bit. Not that I was ever like that angry about it, because I figured this game was probably not going to be a world beater. I figured this game was not really going to be like a game of the year contender. Um, but so I didn't really know what to expect. And I think that my final score on this game is definitely below a 7. I think that 6.5 would be pretty fair, to me at least, and I could see going lower as well. But I think I'd settle on probably like a 6.7, 6.8, 6.7. And I checked the Metacritic score. This is a week ago that I checked it, so it might be different now. But it was a 77 out of 100, and I was like, okay, well, I feel like that is probably a little bit too high. Maybe if you don't play games very much, like if you don't get to play all that often, which there's plenty of people who vote on or write reviews and stuff on Metacritic, I'm sure who don't really get to play all that often. Um, Maybe then you'd be a little bit more forgiving of some of the things because it's like you're just kind of there to play a game as it is. But I just felt like 77 was just very high. I
77 is the reviewers, the critics scale,
Right.
because it's 8.1 for the review the customer scale.
Yeah, I
And
feel like that's insanely high. Okay.
so I will agree that that's high,
Yeah.
but at the same time, so I'm just gonna straight up say, like, I think this is a solid 7. Like, I'm not doing a 100-point scale like you are. It's like I would do at best, like a 20-point scale. So, it's like I can see you going, when you say 6.5 or something like that, I'm like, that's fair. I can see it being like,
Mhm.
for some people, like a 7.5, maybe even an 8, but that's only if you really like the lore and if you love to read. Um, and therefore, I can see there being an argument for that, but I think, honestly, I think I sit at a 7, and I'll talk more about that why, but I'm like, I don't know, yeah, so you're looking at like 6.5, six
S-
seven, or 6, yeah,
See, you
7.
zagged on me. I really thought you'd go lower. I figured you were probably around a 6 or something like that. So seven's kind of interesting.
There's a lot wrong with this game, but at the same time, this game also did a lot that I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
Um, though you and I approach this game very differently. We had talked about this beforehand. So uh, I come from a background like gaming where I originally got to play, got really into adventure games. I liked being able to hunt for clues, games like Myst or some,
Right.
um, or any of the old LucasArts stuff, so like Treasure Island and stuff like that. For me, this game was mostly about the story, uncovering more of the mysteries, the world building. Like, unfortunately, it falls short for delivering a lot of what I wanted for it. But it does a lot of things right. It is like so close to doing. If it just did it, like it just tweaked it here or there, and like a few parts, it would be so much better. The one thing that I did right away, not right away, 7 hours into it, out of 35 hours to platinum, um, for me, and so that was about 7 hours into it. I turned the combat as down as I could. I just, like, you can customize certain things, I think enemy, health and damage output.
Hmm.
So I realized the combat is not its combat's just boring. That's all there is to it. There's no real way to put other way to put it. There's not a lot of enemy diversity. Um, there's a couple neat encounters, in the entirety, but I don't think you even got to any of those really, Nick, because those are like, some of the boss towers, and so they have a couple neat
Yeah.
scenes, but the actual combat in those is not really anything special either. It's like, okay, they throw something new and neat at you, but it's more like the location, the setting, kind of the vibe you get from it. That's the cool part. The enemy threat, like it's less Dark Souls than I expected it to be. And it's also I was I wasn't sure if it was supposed to be more Dark Souls or more like Devil May Cry when I first saw the trailers. Because like, okay, the monsters look menacing enough, so it could be like a Dark Souls thing. But at the same time, they showed some fast action, and so I'm like, oh, maybe it's going to be more something like Devil May Cry or Stellar Blade or something like that.
Yeah.
If it went in either one of those directions, this game would have been a lot better. As far as the gameplay and combat, I think it probably I would lean towards more of a fast paced action, uh, but because of the tedium, like it does the gaming sin of not respecting the player's time, or at least I feel that way when the fact is the combat takes up takes up way too much time. You can get this game done a lot faster if it just minimized the combat, made it more less everywhere, more just a couple key moments. But then it becomes a completely different game from what they envisioned, and blah blah
Yeah.
blah. But for me, it's also with all the backtracking you do in this game to because like I said, I searched everywhere and I did a lot of hunting and stuff like that. I think I had to look up one or two things on in a online just to get because I couldn't quite figure it out. Uh, some of those and I there's a lot of stupid reading. There's the flavor text that is like, oh, these are key items, literally keys. These items are meant for you to unlock other things, and then there's like other items which are meant for research purposes that you give to your aide, and then there's a whole slew of documents that are just world building nonsense. Like it's cool, it's there, I absolutely hate the fact that it's in written format just because takes me so much longer to read, and I don't wanna sit there looking at my video game when I have to look at my computer all day, it's just like,
Hmm.
I don't wanna be just like, uh, you could have and this is a limitation of a newer development team, right? A new studio, because they don't have the budget to fully voice everything out, and I'm like, so there is a lot of that reason, like, hey, it's really good for your first round of, like, making a first real game kinda deal, so you can kinda give them a little bit more of a pass in certain ways,
Hmm.
for that. They had a lot of good ideas, but at the same time, like, when I said everything combat related and movement related, because, like, I wished you have a drone that helps in combat. Pretty fun, does the things pretty neat. I wish they would have done something with a drone that make you move like 3 times faster throughout the world, or at least twice as fast. But like, hey, when this drone is in movement mode, you're gonna need a cooldown before you can actively engage into combat or something, some excuse like that, so you don't have it too easy, I guess.
Yeah.
But like, just all of all the running back and forth I've done, and you can't fast travel. Um,
Yeah. The
the
the the, the APC driving around the APC you mentioned got really annoying. I didn't get to where it got annoying for me, but yeah, if you had to go back and look for different things to complete it out, that would get really frustrating.
so the APC has a cutscene before you leave. Well, anytime you go into the APC, there's a cutscene, and then every time you leave a place, there's a cutscene. Just they're very short cutscenes, but it's you can skip them. They give you the option to skip them.
It,
I wish the option was to skip by default. Like you should have a toggle switch too, because it's like
I mean,
I
it's
could
it's a 5 second cutscene, and it takes 2.5 seconds to make the skip thing go all the way through. So it's
yeah
like it's almost the skip on those cutscenes is almost them just mocking you. Like
yeah.
that's what it felt like to
Uh,
me.
And it's a way to mask what it is it's a way to mask a black screen loading screen
Right.
that, traditionally would have had some sort of in-game information menu system, but you know how, like, if you play an older game that's optimized for a newer console, something like, Skyrim, those old helpful tutorials that they used to give you because you used to have all the time in the world to read those, they
Yeah.
just now blip and you're like, "I didn't have a chance to read that."
The SSD
Um
just processes that way too fast now. Yeah.
and so it's that's they're trying to avoid that. Uh,
Yeah.
but like between the movement, between wasting my time with these little cutscenes, the fact that they have certain hiccups with holding the X button or like holding a button to confirm is usually more of a natural thing. You press and hold to cycle through to skip the cutscene, but when you click the APC and you press and hold the X, you can't enter the APC. You have to tap it. So if you press and
Oh
you're just
yeah.
tired slowly, and then you lift up,
So
you're like, "It doesn't work." And then you press and you lift up, it doesn't work. And you're like, "Why isn't it working?" And then you're like and then you have to tap it, and you're like, "Oh, that's why." And then it happens with a couple other items every time. And then I went to press and hold something to use it, and I went, "And use." And nothing happens. Oh, wait. So it's just like for some reason it's triggered upon the speed of it's like double clicking a mouse button. If you're
yeah.
too slow at double clicking. So for some reason the way they set up the in-game, when they built it on PC, my guess is they configured the controller to be a double click, press in and lift up as two actuations. So you have to do that fast enough as the similar for a PC double click.
So yeah, there's a lot of things. So this game in many ways feels like a PC game first. So I'm playing it on PS5, and as I'm kind of going through it, there's just something about it that feels more like a PC game than a console game. And I could probably pinpoint exactly what it is. Like a lot of the menus and stuff like that, but I could probably pinpoint and show you examples of exactly what I mean. But just the general feel is there. Yeah, that actuation issue is what I'll call it with clicking or with pressing the button and releasing fast enough, just like tapping it. Um, Set me off pretty early. It triggered me pretty early. It made me kind of frustrated with the game because I'm like an hour in and I'm getting into where I'm having to select items and stuff like that, and it's like not selecting, and I don't. It takes me a while to finally get that. Okay, you just have to like tap it, and once I do, I'm like, okay, I kind of just go through the rest of the game. But by then, like I'm a little bit soured on it, and I'm just like, okay, and it just set me on like a little bit lower thing because I'm also thinking as I'm progressing through the game, like why did they do that? Like why is it stupid like that? And so that kind of set me that way. So I'm a little bit opposite with you from you on the combat and the puzzles in this one. So I didn't really find the combat to be really great or good. I think I figured out some things. It's not really consistent. I don't feel like it's really consistent, and I also feel like I'll go ahead and go down the combat route. Like
All right, well, I'm gonna say right now, we are in agreement that the combat is not good. Okay,
I
because you
guess
said you're the opposite of me, and I'm not promoting the combat at all. I dumbed it down because I thought the combat was pointless.
what I
Uh,
mean by the opposite is that you could tolerate the puzzles, but not the combat. I could tolerate the combat, but not the puzzles. So the
Fair enough.
combat is never really fun. It's either kind of too easy or you just get freaking bum rushed. If there's more than two enemies, even if there's more than one enemy and you're in an open space, it's very hard not to take massive damage or to die. And I'm playing on normal. Um, and and even after like I get good, it's like, yeah, there's not really much in the way of options when I'm playing against more than two enemies. Like two is like pretty handleable. It's if I focus. Three is like, okay, I am not necessarily probably going to do good. So the other thing that's weird, I can't remember I didn't play much Dark Souls. I can't remember if Elden Ring or whatever is this way, but they have your endurance tied to your health. And that makes it so that you go down to half health. That means you only have half endurance. So that means you can only take like 2 sword swings or whatever, 3 sword swings before you're tired. And then you can't move. You're just so like I'm down to like a quarter health and I'm swinging my axes once with 3 enemies and I can't dodge away because I'm out of energy. And so it's like once you go down to a quarter health, it's like, well, I may as well just die. And all the enemies that I've already killed are already gone. So I may as well just die and just run back over here with full health and try again. Because usually when I'm dying in that area, it's because like I came in with like 3/4 health or half health or whatever. So that was very deflating.
How often did you use any of your healing items?
Pretty regularly. I tried to like I did get pretty decent at going in like doing like a hit and run tactic, like where I go in, strike, and then back out and then hit the whatever button it is. I think it's triangle, so, or R. I think it's R to heal yourself. So if you can do that, that's great. Like that's actually a pretty good mechanic, but it only works when it doesn't really need to. If you get too far down in health and you get against too many enemies, it's like, well, you're not going to be able to even do enough axe swings to be able to get enough like of a charge to actually get any health back. So so there was a good idea there. It's just not really properly executed. Um, and anyway, so long story short, combat could be okay, but it has significant problems. For the puzzles, I was just kind of going through some of the puzzles. I get to this puzzle where you're in a government building, and if you played the game, you'll know what I'm talking about. Um, and I'm kind of going around there. I'm doing it, and I get through with that, and I'm like, but like the whole time, like, why is this just not particularly fun to me? And it was like after I got through with those puzzles, I was like, it feels like a escape room. So if you've ever done an escape room, you kind of know what that is. Like you you get a clue to find a key to open a door, to get a clue to find a key to open a door, and it's just sort of that and that over and over again until you get the MacGuffin, and then it's like, well, the MacGuffin is just another key that's going to open a door. And so I was like, okay. So like escape rooms are fun. Escape rooms are fun because you're in a real place and you're with your friends, um, and you're under time, and so you don't do them like you're not doing them like over and over again. You're like there for an afternoon. It's 2 hours, one and done. So those work because of that context. But I just felt like a lot of the puzzles in this were kind of like that, and they just didn't seem to be very imaginative to me, and they didn't make me want to keep doing them. That and like what you talked about, where a lot of times you're like looking stuff up on your Pip Boy, and you're having to read and having to kind of extrapolate, and they don't really make that part. They don't like they're trying not to hold your hand, and it's like I get that, but I think a new studio needs to do a little bit more stuff before they really don't try to hold your hand. They don't gamify the things that they're saying they're not trying to hold your hand. I was like, okay, I get that. You can not hold my hand, you can make it difficult, but you have to make it fun. That is the one thing you can't budge on. You have to make it fun.
Yeah,
So
so
yeah, go ahead.
I mean, when it comes to, yeah, so I'll touch on the combat. So my problem with combat and why I think it was, one of the many reasons why I thought it was so bad was because they have all these types of weapons. They're color coded
Mhm.
and they have
Oh
their
yeah.
own in lore name behind them. You have like Wrath, which is a red color, and it has a special icon in world, lore icon for it. There's Greed, which is green, and it has its own like icon. Which these icons then pop up in other like for the runes and like other locking mechanisms. They have I think it was envy. There's yellow and there's blue, and like blue's like sorrow or something. I can't remember what it is anymore. But the thing is, you're like, okay, that makes if you're going with these color coded things, and then you have color coded gear, equipment that you can put onto them. A lot of them will do some kind of variant on the other thing, like this does a kind of an AOE attack, or this does like a distance attack, or this kind of causes a like an area of effect around you. But they have their own special lore name for each weapon, or it's like more of the same, but just the other color variant. I'm like, all right, Well, that means these enemies, which also have like different certain colors. Maybe that means you're going to take less damage if you're, or if there's going to be some sort of um, elemental thing, Pokemon related, whatever you want to call it, where it's like one like blue trumps red, red is better than green, something, so maybe it's like that. Nope, all of it is meaningless. It is legitimately meaningless. It doesn't matter at all. You can beat everybody up with the same with and that's what I did, is like I went ahead and
Yeah.
played around with the different weapons. I upgraded the different things for the trophy, and I felt like, well, I might as well level them up while I'm at it. And you have, you essentially have 5 different weapons. I think you have or maybe 4. You have a sword, a long sword, double axes, a pike, or some sort of spear, and that might was that it? Uh,
Mm,
you
okay.
have those, and then you have the 4 elements. Uh, I just pretty well, first thing I upgraded was I made a red, so wrath like axe, double axes,
Yeah.
and those are without a doubt the best. Uh, and
It's like
the
the
skills you get.
it's like the second it's like the second weapon that they give you is like they give you the sword first and then they give you the axes. And it was funny because like I'd been playing for a while, you've been playing for a while, and we both had ended up just using like red axes. And it's just funny that we both were like, yeah, this is OP, we're just gonna go with this.
Yeah, and I think about 5 hours into the game, so this I was playing it normal when I first started, and then eventually I ended up picking up, some loot or some gear that ended up giving me, something equivalent to, like, some health and stamina or something, after defeating an enemy or something like that, and eventually all the wrath gear, like the armor gear, is like the more you attack, the more something. If you attack, you get more stamina or more energy, more um, health or something like that. So I'm like, that's how that particular works. Some of the other gear for defensive, it's like, oh yeah, the blue is like sorrow. So all your damage, anything you get damaged with, you you'll get boons or something to your so you get health, a little health when you get hit, or get a little more stamina or a little more something. So anyways, I ran with the same gear almost the entire time, and when
Yeah.
because I was getting extra stamina, extra health back, it was trivialized the actual combat. I'm like, okay, this is actually getting pretty easy to the point where I maybe have to amp up the difficulty, because I also had a few drone pieces at that time, which one of which was because when I leveled up my axes, one of was like a bull rush. So if I get some of the weaker group, there's a the more generic enemies, the lemmings, there's like they usually pop up in groups of like anywhere from like 3 to 5. And if you can get them to just conga line in front of you, you target the one in the very back and you bull rush them all, and it takes out majority of their health. And then you just turn around and you just run, just attack really quickly through them. Then you just have to wait for the 3 minute cooldown for your timer. I ran with that. I ran with the whirlwind, the spinning attack. There was a paralysis or some a distraction where your drone can distract, and then your drone can also pick you up to do like a big jump slam.
Mm.
And those were the 4 things that I used the entire like, I kinda played with the other ones, but I really didn't need to. It was once again, so the combat was really boring, really pointless. It felt like they had the idea to do more with it, but, like, there was really no reason to add all this extra waste all this time with all this color codedness and all this other flavor text, because once again, it was like, it's like there was, you can change up the weapons, uh, but if you choose to upgrade a weapon down a certain color path, what it does is the only thing it does is it locks you to upgrading those specific color upgrades.
Right.
And so it was disappointing. I mean, so once that's why after about 7 hours, I'm like, I'm done wasting my time with it. I dumbed it down. The puzzles. You equate it to a locked room, but I'm like, a locked room is just puzzles. Okay, so that's all there is to it. I mean, yes,
An
I
escape
understand what
room,
you
but
need
yeah.
our escape room, but it's just like that's the thing is, it's that is what all like adventure games are essentially. Is like you can't leave this area until you hunt in all the different areas. You find some obscure clues. You put together. Some of
Yeah.
the
The,
I
the
found were a little easier
but
because they're like,
the problem is that like it's just a key, it's just a door, it's like, okay, yeah, that's all that life is, that's all that games are, is like pressing these same what like 16 buttons on this controller like over and over again, but there's a way to make it interesting, and they don't make they don't make the puzzles interesting to me. It's not like, okay, I need to learn about this guy because it's going to be important, or like I feel like I need to, but it's not interesting to. So I'm just like speed reading through everything, going like, okay, where's this and what's this? Here's the numbers that are sticking way out. So I guess those are going to be important, and it's just like that, or like being able to highlight stuff and put it in a notebook to where you can find it again easy. I just feel like they don't gamify it very well.
So my argument is, or like the puzzles are just as much as of a puzzle as any other thing where it's a word based puzzle. It's not an action based puzzle where you have to hit a thing, make a number of movements or skill checks, be able to get to from point A to point B. It's not that kind of puzzle, but in this case, it's all words and pieces. You put pieces together, puzzle pieces together. You read the things, find out the code. Now I feel like what they've been touting about no no maps, no markers, this, that, the other thing.
Yeah.
I think that's a cop out for trying to sell it as that,
Mm,
but in reality, they just didn't have time to make it properly, or they were too lazy. And
mm.
that's being a little harsh. This whole thing sounds really harsh. I'll get to the positives later. But that's the thing is, because you do find a map in the game because you find a route that you're supposed to follow and you're supposed to look at cues. I'm like, and you get a compass right out the bat. I think one of the things on the PlayStation Store was like, said like no compass. I'm like, no, no,
Uh,
you get it
okay, okay.
right away.
So you were telling me about that, and then I saw, well, on the game's front page or whatever on Sony or on PlayStation, it says something like no markers, no magic compass. And I was like, okay, so there is a compass, there's just not a magic compass. It's a regular compass.
So, all right, I don't mind. I'm not going to knock a game for not giving me a golden path. Like,
Right.
this is, or an arrow going like this is, you got to go this way the entire way through. No, like, no, no. You tell me it's on the east side of town. It's a building that looks like this. Fine. I'll go to the building on the east side of town. That's not a big deal. Um, Now, once again, your character picks up a map. Like in multiple areas, they've picked up maps, and at any given time, you should be able to. You think he'd be able to pick up a freaking pen and just be like, and pen it in, or be like, this is a thing that I need to go to and look at. Um, he has, so this is supposed to be like fictitious like alternate 1993, and it has essentially a BlackBerry version of a tablet. So it's just like it's a DOS based, like data pad that's a Pip-Boy that fits on your arm. And so at certain times you'll find passwords and you know what the password is for, you know what this is, you know what the answer is. You've gone it, you've gathered the pieces, you know what it is. The fact that like you find enough research points for the person back at the APC, and she'll be like, "Hey, I unlocked one of these safes, vaults. So here's the vault code." And they even give you the thing is when you find a new object and something new for a little mission or discovery, they're like, "Here it is. You've unlocked this at this zone, this area." We're like, couldn't you have just like marked, "Hey, this is where it is," instead of having to remember, okay, or have to do a clean sweep of the entire place from start to finish, because that's just wasting your time. And there's a difference between making you go there, like giving you all the bells and whistles, guiding you perfectly there, but you can simply say like, "Hey, it's in this area," give you something. You've already discovered everything you need. There's no reason not to give it to you. Uh, and as far as going to the door, like, okay, you have the code. It's in the data pad. You literally have to go down, look it up. There it is. Memorize it real quick, and then quickly go to the door, cycle through the tumbler, each
Yeah.
setting really
See,
slow. And it's just as annoying as it is to hear me talk about that, it's twice as much annoying to try to actually do it. Okay.
yes,
So
much more.
uh, and
Um,
so that's I mean, you could have at least at any given point popped up on the menu on the side, and if you want to make it in lore thing, have them hold up their Pip-Boy, little tablet thing, just in the corner of the screen. Just
mhm.
take up a little tiny spotlight, make it look like he's holding it up so you can see it, and then you can just quickly match what you need to
Because
match. You
if
don't have
this was real life, that's what you would freaking do. That's exactly what you
And
do. You'd be like, "Oh, let me have it really handy for me to use while I do this thing that I'm trying to do." Is that like the
but because
game?
he's a sociopath, he doesn't. They clearly
That was
mentioned he's
okay.
a sociopath.
Yeah.
So because he's a sociopath, he doesn't get annoyed by that kind of stuff, and therefore we shouldn't be annoyed by that kind of stuff. Is that what you're getting at, huh? Is that it? Because that's a bad excuse. Okay.
Okay, yeah. So let's put the sociopath line on the back burner for now because I definitely want to talk about that. But the final thing that I want to say, just so I do have some positive things to say about this game because it's like, God, it sounds like a 3 out of 10. You know the way we're talking about it. But I do have some positive things to say about it. But basically, the bottom line on the negatives to me is this game has systems um, that are okay, probably on their face. The developer just did not do a great job or even a good job of making you want to engage with them. And I think that like I'm always reminded when I play games like this of The Last of Us. Um, I remember hearing a interview where the developers of The Last of Us said that like only a few months before release, like actual release, then when they actually released it, a few months before release, they were playtesting the game, and they were like, this game is not bad, but it's not good, and it's not great. And so they were like, okay. And they were just really like fretfully confused and just said, okay, well, we just got to like keep trying to figure it out. And so they broke through, and I don't know what they did, but they said that where it was 3 months before release or a few months before release, it ended up like being like really close. And then just like they figured out the little things they needed to tweak to really make it come together and make that gameplay loop like really awesome. And I think that this game, that this Hell Is Us game, is somewhere behind that line of like a few more months with people who really know what they're doing and who are really good at this and all this stuff that have made games a lot. Like they this needed just a few more months of experience development time to take these systems that are pretty good on their own, you know, or that there's at least the bones of them are there on their own, and just go, okay, this is how we tweak it and make it actually a lot more fun in the like minute to minute basis. And I think that that's just where this was, and it makes sense because it's a rookie developer. Um, so it makes sense for them to kind of make that kind of mistake.
Yeah, it's one of those things that, the next venture, if they build upon this, will be a more solid foundation. But for the first time out, uh, it was a good first attempt. Just there's a lot of, like I said, a lot of little things that aren't up to par. And if they just tweaked some, or if just a few of those things were more solid, it wouldn't be bad. But it's like a death of thousand cuts almost.
Mm-hmm.
It's just where there's just a lot of little annoyances that all build up to make it more irritating. Now, um, all right, some of the things I'll start to just go back some of the positives. Okay, so I did like the concept of the story and the world building.
Mm-hmm.
They do a good job of setting you up, not knowing what's going on, but that's also kind of the gist of it is like it's a it's a closed off world. It's a country that the best way I had to explain it to a friend. I'm like, all right, I'm like, instead of the Berlin Wall, imagine Germany being divided, but having the borders is what it was, like impenetrable borders. So the rest of the world didn't know what was going on inside of Germany at that time. I'm like, and they were
Mm.
having free reigns and power struggles to fight within themselves. So this guy literally the concept is uh he was smuggled out of the country when he was a child. Um, a few decades pass, and he gets himself. He pretends to be. Um, he joins their version of the UN, which is the ON, and
Yeah.
he then goes AWOL and sneaks himself back into the country. Um, that's the gist of it. But because he's been out of the country since he was a small child, he doesn't remember his parents' faces, let alone um, what any of the country politics or anything, and no one really does. And that's like the rest of the world has no clue what's going on, other than the fact that there's like a civil war going. So I mean, you're learning it at the same time the character is, which is all well and fine. The early on, the reading wasn't so bad, because but you just didn't realize the depth of you're getting into. One of the things they do is the audio tapes. When you do come across an audio tape, they do one of the great things that it lets you play the audio tape and get out of the menu and keep on playing the game while the audio tape runs. And at any given time, you can stop the audio tape. So you
Mm.
don't actually have to listen through it all the way, or if say you missed the first part, you can play it again, or you're about to engage with something else, you can just stop it abruptly before you talk to a character or something like that, and then you can just play it again for yourself. So I did like that simple function because a lot of games get the audio tape portion wrong, where like yes, you have to now sit and stare at the menu screen while you're listening to the audio tape, because the moment you back out, it's going to kill the audio. um, or it's playing now, but it's just going to play over everything else, and so characters are actually going to talk to each other while this audio log is playing, and that's
That
really
would be
annoying.
messed up. Yeah.
So yes, like that part was neat. The design, the war torn landscapes of what you're going through. It's kind of neat to see because you first come in from across the mountain borders and you're in little farm town, well, little farm field, but then you're going from there into a ravaged city. You get to see the conditions of that town being primarily of one side of the faction of the war, and they're being the other side is being mistreated. They actually hung a bunch of people because they were on the other side of the war, and some of the psychological aspects, like the one person, she's like uh, she's hating herself because she engaged in mob mentality, and she's like, I was a teacher like beforehand. She's
Yeah.
like, that was one of my students, like I can't believe that happened, but the generations of hate that built up with them. She's like, it just kind of like it came out, and she's like, I deserve, she's currently being uh held hostage and mistreated, and therefore she's like, I deserve this because I am a terrible person.
Oh yeah,
um
that lady. Yeah.
you can actually, there's a side mission you can do to give her some peace of mind later on, kind of thing too. um but that's the thing, is like there's a lot of nuances, because then you go to a different town, and that town is kind of the complete opposite. It's just like, no, no, no. Everyone who you thought was a bad, like all the war criminals in that first town, they are actually the victims, because the other people, the other side, they do things way worse than the first group just did. And you're like, okay. And then eventually by the third area, you're like, okay, we get it. We are the real monster. Everyone's bad. Everyone's bad. There's no. It's all gray. Gotcha. But at
Yeah.
the same time, it did do a good job of just depicting a lot of stuff. Um, at the same time, it's just like I wish there was more substance, I guess is the best way to put it.
Mm.
It's like, but like I said, it still added to the atmosphere. It did a really good job just picking up the right vibe and just having the overall confusion and mystery, because you're like, well, if you first think, okay, well, I know what side I'm picking. Screw those other guys, because but it's and then by the next time you're like, oh, okay, and then you're like, all right, well, everyone just needs to burn, I guess. Uh, you
Everyone
know,
just needs to burn. Yeah, that's your mantra now, Joe. Yeah, just to kind of tag on to what you're saying. Yeah, I felt like the story was pretty was pretty okay. I don't think there was enough fast enough um, to really hold my interest. But I was like, this is interesting. There is some cool ideas here. So I did appreciate the story. Um, the characters themselves um, could have been. I think that's probably where I would need more and faster. Is just like this guy that you're playing as. You don't really know a lot about him, and then and it's like, okay, that's part of the mystery, but there's some other characters that they could have maybe added in that would you would know more about, or something to kind of hang on to more than just kind of a pair of trousers. But the stuff that is in the story, some of the hooks, especially the early hook of like basically the very first scene, is like, okay, what is going on here with the guy that's interrogating you? And we'll come back to that in just a second. But like you were saying, the world building, um, the environments, is kind of the way that is it that I was going to put that. Just the environments were really well rendered, like artfully, kind of beautiful in like a horrible way sometimes, like swamps or forests, bombed out towns, um, and then the way that the levels, and I didn't see a ton of them, but I saw a good little bit. The way that the levels were laid out, the areas that were laid out, was always pretty interesting. It was like, okay, you go here, and that leads you kind of here, and then and there was when I was kind of running around in that first major town, um, I was trying to kind of do some extra stuff, and I was like, wait, where is the place? And I kind of looked up, and I was like, oh, there's a sign for the shop, and I was like that, and so pretty much wherever I was in the town, I could see that sign. I could know, okay, I need to go that direction to go to the sign. And so while it wasn't like I hold your hand, here's a yellow marker kind of thing, it was like, oh, okay, so they found a natural way to do that with at least that one thing. But yeah, so like I found the environments to be really like to be probably the best thing about the game to me is the way that they had kind of crafted things to look. I was like, whoever's in charge is really putting their focus on this, or the best person on the team is probably on the environments. The most talented person or whatever's on the environments, because they did look and feel pretty cool. Um,
Yeah, that whole character design or the art design concept was good. Like even the I think the disappointment is there's only like 5 or 6 enemy types. That
yeah,
like legit,
there's
that's
not very
it.
many.
There's a trophy early on for meeting all the enemy types. And like it wasn't until the very end do you see so there's the plain humanoid looking one. That is just the and then at the slight spoiler, there's a like a 2 to 3 story version of that you meet at the end of a couple of them at the end of the game. Only for the one segment. They have multiple, I'll put it, cores is the best way to put it,
Mhm.
because later on you have these certain enemies who have color behind in the void. They'll spew out a core. You have to defeat the core before you can do damage to the body.
Right.
So they'll have the core. They'll have like 3 cores, and then once you do that, they creepily die and lock up in a death animation, and they just freeze like a statue. And like that's pretty effective, and that was pretty cool. And like I said, the original trailers and stuff like that, being able to see these characters look into the void of their face, and like, or even the time loops. There's the domes that have spikes jettisoning, so it's liquid blobby dome with spikes shooting out from them, and then you have to kill a few the major time guardians in the map. Uh, and once you kill all of the guardians, then the spikes disappear, letting you enter. But then you need another item MacGuffin to stop the time loop.
Hmm.
And then once you stop the time loop, you can then clear any enemies you clear, they will not respawn. That's essentially how why their in-game lore of why enemies respawn is because of the time loop.
Which
But
is,
the
I'm
look,
glad that they tried to explain that at least.
yeah, and I like the look of the characters, the time loop itself, the geometry of it, because like even the cores of the monsters that come out is all being like this, not voxel, but these blocky little, tetrahedron, like like amorphous things.
Hmm.
It reminded me of the original concept art and the stuff for XCOM Declassified. So back when that was first being pitched, it had, I cannot remember which actor it is, but the one of the Lord of the Rings guys who plays either Merry or Pippin, one of those 2 guys, and he was actually in the live action commercials for it. There was some, online marketing for it. It was a couple episodes, I think it was, and it was actually really effective, really good. The idea for they originally pitched was like the aliens coming in and being these giant floating cubes that kind of grow and expand upon themselves in a cube fashion, and it was just really creepy and really weird. And so that kind of design I really liked. And it just fell short because there just wasn't enough variation, and it was just a little more dry. But yes, I agree with you. The art's really good. The other locations, some of the stuff, I had to stop a couple times in the game and just remind myself to look up or take a look around, not just look straight forward. Because when you actually take the time to look at the grander picture, you're
Mhm.
like, oh wow, that's actually supposed to be like where there's a base for the resistance, I guess is the best way to put it. And it's their location is an old ruin where it's essentially being covered in a giant serpent. So you can see these statues, but you don't really get to see, but if you actually look far enough back or get the whole picture, you're like, okay, these look really neat. And by the time you get to that, you have some really cool, iconic, creepy enemy statues. And even in the houses, they have some weird art, like
Mm,
just
yeah.
a frame of an art of one of these figures holding like Dark Souls-esque or something like that, like praising the sun or holding, like, the light above it, but it's just yeah, it's unique.
S
I.
Yeah, yeah, so some of those did repeat a little bit,
Oh, yeah, they
but
do.
a lot of
No,
them
every house has the same, but it's
a
still
lot of them were actually, like, really especially, like, in the government building, that's I mean, the paintings on the wall are kind of part of what you're trying to do, and those are at least well created, thoughtfully created. The only thing that left I want to talk about was, early on in the game, I forget how early, but early on in the game, slight spoilers here, I guess, the interrogator basically finds out or lets you know or whatever. I guess he finds out that you are a sociopath, and the game treats that like it's a superpower. And I was like, he's like, yeah, I'm a sociopath, so things like that don't bother me. And I was like,
high functioning sociopath, I think is what they
I was
said.
like, I was like, that's not how sociopathy works. Like that, it's not like some extra thing that you have. Like you're broken inside, and that's why things don't bother you because you literally like have no feelings. So
But
it
yet
was,
he has enough feelings to warrant this whole game being justified because his whole goal is to go back to the country where
yeah,
he escaped
doesn't
from, go find his mom and dad. That's the whole premise of the story is he entered the country to go find mom and dad.
doesn't hold
That
water at all. It's just
Oh,
like
no, no, especially after that longer time, like, it's like, he's like, I've been trying to get back ever since I was a small child. He's now a gentleman in his 30s, I'm guessing,
yeah,
but he's just like, he's now going back in to find mom and dad, who he doesn't remember what they look like. He only has a name and barely has anything to go off of. Um, and yet he's supposed to not feel anything. And because he can't feel anything, spoilers, when family members die, he feels nothing for them. You know,
yeah,
um,
that
I guess
was
it's a
it
weird way to
was
be like, I can kill people and I don't like if you told me Nathan Drake, was a high functioning sociopath, that'd be different, except for the fact that he's way too animated of a character, yelling out, oh crap," and you're like getting all these emotions.
yeah.
Uh,
It's just like that's not what sociopathy is, guys. That's just not how that works. But yeah, so I would like to hear some more about why they decided to do that. But we'll see.
yeah, so uh wow. All right. So the other, like I said, I did like the hunting of things. I did like the searching and also being able the way they do some of the side quests. All right. Not because they don't mark everything as a side quest. Um, they'll mark some of those items like the lambent rods and be like, hey, this is a mystery that you got to solve. I'm like, well, thanks for letting me know that, but you're not going to let me know where it is. You're just letting me know that it's a thing that I've unlocked. Um, but it's and they have a blurred out picture because you haven't fit. Once you solve it, you can then unblur the picture. Uh, that
Yeah.
part was stupid. But yeah, like I found it in the very beginning. You go to a farm. The very first person you meet, he's a farmer, and he's just like he talks about his family, and you see as I'm leaving the farm, you see like a dead cow, but then you see a live cow. I'm like, huh, I wonder if I can bring that cow with me. And then later on in the first major city, I find a woman trying to take care of a child in like the sewers. It's like it's an old ruins underneath the city, but she's like the child is of one of the warring factions, which is essentially it's like
People being chased. Yeah.
people. Yeah, there's the two factions are a religious faction, and then there's the offshoot of the religious faction, which decided to um kind of revolutionize their outlook and become more conservative is the best way to put it, I guess. So because and they bring up multiple times how it's just it originally was from the same, they were all part of the same religion, but because they wanted to change, and I'm like, okay, whatever. So, but anyways, the baby's in hiding, ran out of food, and I'm like, okay, I'm like, can I leave? Because it felt like I honestly felt when you first left that area, you're driving pretty substantially on this map from point A to point B. Like you're going to a completely different town. Um, and that's when you have to turn on your gamer brain where it's like, okay, travel distance doesn't mean a thing.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, like I was able to go back to that town, talk to the farmer, got milk from the cow, and I'm okay, okay, cool. So it's just these offhanded comments are working, and I spoke to a guy, two of their UN equivalents. There were one was talking about how like he's like, we need a radio, blah blah blah, and the other person is like, I can't even move from this area. I'm like, I'm too, and I need, and he made up some. He said some medicine, and I didn't recognize it. I was assuming it was some sort of fictitious medicine. I think it ended at a fin, like acetaminophen, or
Mm.
like
Something like that. Yeah.
ibuprofen, some fin. And I'm like, okay, so the way it was mentioned, I'm like, all right, so you need some Motrin. Got it.
Hmm.
It's like so eventually, like I'm betting at some point I'm gonna go to a pharmacy, and then sure enough, like a couple town, a couple town later, I entered a pharmacy, found this medicine, went back to him, gave it to him. Like, okay, cool. I'm glad it kind of rewards you for remembering things like that. You talk to an old couple, and they're like, "Yeah, we had to leave our dog behind," and and then you find the dog later,
Hmm.
and then you can set them free. Well, one of the things it does neat was as the story progresses and the things you've done, um, people will move and will change, or the areas will change just a little bit. So there's an area by a lake, and after I set freed a couple of people in the original town, they ended up making their way to the lake. So that teacher, there's priest and his niece, or something like that, or the little girl he's taking care of. So they make their way there. Uh, when you're in the ruins of where your rebel the rebellion is being held, the Watchers, I think they're called, or something like that. No, Vigil. They're the Vigil. That's what
Hmm.
it is. So the Vigil ruins are, uh, you actually run into the son of the farmer in the very beginning, and so you can help them out. But then you go back to the farm, and there he is, with a couple of the survivors that he was with. So it's like, okay, great. I like how some of that changes as you progress, and it makes a little bit of a difference. Uh, while most games would just like never do anything at all and just be like, okay, I guess they'll be fine after my story's done. So now I guess I'm just gonna go into spoilers. All right, I'm just gonna go straight spoilers. Just because you're never gonna finish this game. Uh,
No, I'm not.
uh, you burnt out from it, like I said, and I honestly think I can understand being burnt out from it. I liked it, but once again, the combat and the slow pace of it is what hurts it the most. I think because if you're wasting more time repeating the same monotony, I think that sours your overall experience. And the one thing I'd recommend is if you wanted to get the platinum for this, look up. There's a couple side missions that you have to that are time sensitive. You can't progress the main story because if you do, you'll lock yourself out. So that's so I looked up. I kept those in the forefront, and then there was like one or two major puzzles that I needed help with. Well, they weren't major as in story mode, but like they were just more confusing. One of which is a bunch of switches in the swamp, the marshlands. There's there's a particular way you have to hit these switches throughout the entire area, and I had did them wrong, and I couldn't figure. So when I had to run through and check everything, and I thought I had it right, and I screwed it up again. And eventually, I'm like, nope, I'm just looking up the answer to this, and I should have done that from the start because it would have saved myself a whole lot of time, especially when you're running across that entire map. That's the thing is, you have an APC that is apparently monster proof that you can gallivant across this entire country without any problems from any warring faction or monster. Uh, but yet you can't drive across the map from where you are.
Hmm.
Um, they at least adjust the APC later on to more relevant areas that, in certain cities like the marshlands, it's first at the outskirts of town, and then once you actually get yourself embedded in, it'll then park itself right in front of the blacksmith. And so
Okay.
I'm like, okay, that's convenient. Now can you not drive me over to the opposite side of this map? You cannot be my quote unquote fast travel. Like you can radio in for this person to drive your APC. So those are kind of the annoyances there. Um, but when it comes to the actual um, figuring out how, like the actual figuring out what to do in this game, the storyline, um, there is plenty of neat things to do. Um, you can skip a lot of it. I think the game is probably like a 20-hour game.
Mhm.
If you don't do all the side story, it has a couple neat set pieces where you're getting 4 keys. So this is all the spoiler stuff. So essentially, the game does wants you to go more or less do get one small MacGuffin to unlock the other area to get the key that you need, and you need to do that 4 times to unlock the major door to the end. Um, and it requires a little bit of backtracking. You don't have to do any of the time loops. Most of the time loops you can just leave untouched. There's a few of them that you have to just to progress, but most of them you can actually just leave whatever. Um, by the time you finish, there's 3 acts. By the time you finish Act 2 finishes when you put all 4 keys in. You then run you're at the lake. There's a mountain. You run along a long corridor to the core of the mountain, and that's where you find they give you right at the gate, right at the entrance, 4 stones on these pillars, and then you walk inside, which is dumb because like there's people there, like they why it's just magically there for you makes no sense because you think the researchers would have found these things because the moment you walk through there's literally a bunch of containers, just containers and containers and containers because the idea is the actual government group has been researching the inside of this mountain. They know that it's the existence, they know it's there, they have a lot of supplies there, a lot of crates. So but what it does is it makes you weave through the crates, and the containers, shipping containers, and then you all of a sudden pop out and you can see this giant, massive inside of the hollow mountain. So you see these, it's really cool statue setups, really cool thing. I'm like, but why were they leaving all the keys just naturally in these old ruins? I don't know. You literally fight 4 major monsters, put the key, or maybe you can just run and put the keys in. You probably could just do that. Slot each key into the right spot. There's 8 statues, only 4 keys. And once again, there's it's that in lore color stuff that's kind of silly and stupid. But so you just have to match the color of the key to the associating emotional thing the weapon types that I just mentioned. And that's how I figured it out is I just paused it, looked to my weapon selection, like, okay, here's the grief emblem, here's the wrath emblem, and then I just matched the colors, boom, you unlock that. There's one final time loop. Stop that time loop, game over. Act 3 done. It comes screeching to a halt. It's just like
That's
the Act
another.
2 is Act 2 is like the majority of the game. It is so much of that because like I said, you're doing multiple parts to get to each key. And you're doing all that. The majority of the heavy lifting. I think you Act 1 ends at the first key. So 2, 3, and 4. Key 2, 3, and 4. That's the rest of the game. And then so this is one of those things that you ran out of time.
Yeah,
Your
that's what I
budget,
was thinking. Yeah.
and so I'm not gonna spoil the final cutscene. Or there's a post credit cutscene as well, but the actual final scene, in dealing with you and the interrogation and stuff like that. Um, but it's it ends. So if they never make a sequel, it's okay. Uh, but it's very much after that, who knows? Like you could make up any fanfic you want, but it's wide open for a sequel. Um, and it was plus one of their big reveals or something like that. They're like, like it's supposed to be a big twist. And I'm like, that's not a twist at all. There was never a question in my mind when everyone was like said question was in doubt. We're like, no, dude, unless if you're new to entertainment, like
And yeah.
that is Like, not just entertainment. If you've seen a movie, if you've seen movies like this, or like, you know
Mm.
that there's a plot twist and like this is easily set up. Uh,
Yeah, I mean the short, super short third act sounds like it's like, yeah, you guys are, especially knowing it's a first time, developer. You guys probably ran out of time and or money and or you got content complete, but not like you know your low end content complete, not your high end content complete, which is you have to do all the stuff at the beginning, you have to do all the stuff in the middle, or you got to do all the stuff in the middle, and you did what you had to do of the end, but really you had to prioritize everything else because that's what people are most likely to see. So, yeah, that sounds about right.
so for me, most of the puzzles were fine. Like it did require you to just remember where certain things were. I know you had a trouble with the visuals. One of the major puzzles there at the entrance there. But that's because it seemed like you missed the note that like is right. You walk right in. There's a circle. There's a stone table, and the note is right on the table,
Yeah,
and
I
that gives you. Yeah.
Yeah, I missed the thing on the entrance over. It was off to the left of the entrance on the wall there. I missed that, and then I was not particularly in a great mood as I was going into that spot, and I was not sure if I had everything that I needed to be able to do what I needed to do in there. So I messed around in there, and I was like, well, I don't know. I was like, I literally thought that I might have to go get all of the plates. Like I might have to go and explore more and find every single plate to fit in every single thing in there. And I was like, I don't really, yeah. And so I've just like said, screw it. And I looked it up. I looked up the answer and I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. But I was just a little bit too like,
'Cause that's like 16 plates, or at least 16 to 20
it
plates
would have
needed.
it
They
didn't
give you
it didn't seem right. It like yeah, they give you four. I was like this doesn't seem right, but I just had too many open variables in my mind, and I was like, well, I can go hunt around here or there. And I think I did make one outing and then come back, and then I was like, yeah, I don't know what I don't know, so I'm just gonna look it up, and I did look up that, and I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, because for me it was, it's like it tells you that you need to look up. It's like it's the person who created the vigil, his name. So you after you're reading the documents, you're realizing okay, and then it's like the organization name, the year it was founded, and one other thing I can't remember. Their emblem, I think, is what it was.
Mhm.
And then as you're reading some other stuff, they're like, okay, so there's two on this wall, and it goes, and like as you're reading their logbook or journals, you're like, I've determined that these are pointless, like they're
Mhm.
red herrings. And then they're like, okay, and then you go to this one wall, and it's just like there's nothing for you, but it's according to the page, it says the left side is 1 year, the right side is another year. So I'm like, okay, well that's the year that I need, so that's boom, that's easy. Um, they're like, all right, here's the emblem out of the four emblems or something like that. Like, all right, like they give you like, okay, well obviously I could pick that. He's like, who's the creator? I'm like, okay, it's probably one of two people, but it's probably this one. So I picked that one. And then when I went to like organization name, and I'm like, do they mean the organization that when he first joined or the when he created it? And so I think I picked when he first joined, the original organization name. And
Mhm.
then when that didn't work, I just removed it and popped it into the other one, and it worked.
Yeah.
So I mean, they do a pretty good job of giving you everything you need. Um, but it's a matter of ciphering through what that is, and I felt that that was how it was for a lot of the other puzzles. Um, you can the one in like I was expecting more from the one you're talking about in the government building because as you're turning the radio dial, when you're playing with the radio, I played with the radio first, and then I'm like, okay, there's a Morse code one here, or
Mhm.
just giving off signal. I'm like, man, I better not make me do Morse code because anytime a game makes me do that, I absolutely it drives me up the wall. I can't that or if it does makes me do a a piano key thing because
Mm.
I'm I'm bad about picking the exact pitch or whatever, the tone. So
Right.
I usually always get something screwed up on. Like I can do everything in Mist just fine, and I was always getting to that rocket ship to hit the piano, play the piano, match the right note. I always end up screwing up on that one. Um, but yeah, that's kind of so like then you go through and you're like, all right, well, it gives you it through an email. It says, okay, these are the years that you need. So there's like 5 paintings and you only need 3 of them,
Mhm.
you know, or something like that, 3 or 4, and then you just have to parse the numbers, and I'm like, "Okay, that's not too bad." Um, you know, some of the other stuff, like, I warned you I told you because the first couple areas you go to are pretty or the first between the farmstead and then especially when you go to the first town,
Mhm.
that whole town, the marshland is pretty big. Uh, and then, like, the next place I went to was a city that was all covered in fog, like Silent Hill-esque,
Mhm.
and that one was if it seemed bigger than it was, but in reality, it wasn't as big. And then you start getting smaller scale. There's like a library, art, and then there's an archive area, so they become smaller. And I'm like, okay, cool. But then occasionally you get to places like the lake, and the lake is like a labyrinth underneath. You're like, ah, right.
Oh,
So
yeah, I call that the water temple. Yeah, that whole like the thing underneath the lake is it's probably not as big as it feels because there is quite a bit of backtracking and some of the rooms sort of seem fairly similar. But I did enjoy a lot of the level design in there. But yeah, that place did feel kind of big.
yeah, and that's so but I warned you, I'm like, because by the time I made it to, like, I said after the fog town, I think I went to the library or something like that, and I'm like, "Okay, great. This is only 2 floors. Nice." It's like, or it's like the university or something. It was like 2 floors and done, and then I went to the government building, I'm like, "Okay, this is so much nicer because it's not all these big sprawling areas." Oh, no, that's it. The second area, the second major area was the visual archive or like the mines and stuff like that. So that like it's not as big and sprawling where you have to run around everywhere. So I'm like, okay, cool. There are smaller locations. Um, and that made me happier for sure. But it got to the point where I felt like my character was pretty strong. Um, even with but when you dumb it down, when you dumb down the difficulty, it becomes the combat becomes quite easy. Like you just do like a more or less a one or two hit combo for a lot of the beginning and middle level guys, especially when you go back to the marsh and you're just running through the open field. You're like, okay, literally one, two hits, you're down, and so you can do like one special combo or bull rush, and you're just mowing down people.
Nice.
Um, but yes, like so I enjoyed the puzzles. I enjoyed the adventure, trying to figure out what was going on. Unfortunately, like I said, the payout wasn't as great as I wanted. There wasn't enough explanations. Um, I it scratched that itch though for to wanting to explore, wanting to and I rewarding me for looking in like every nook and cranny. I systematically sweep the areas. So I really enjoyed the exploration of the game. Uh, the combat just slowed me down. Like,
Mhm.
and plus, then when you're backtracking, I want faster speed. I wanted to be able to, like, to be able to rush, like, to run through, especially when I'm like, oh, I know what I need to do. I'm here to deliver this side quest objective. I've already completed what I need to. I just need to make my way from the APC to the other side of town to give it to this person. Just let me run there. Like, let me just teleport there. Let me go faster. And that was so. I mean, once again, it didn't respect my time in that aspect, and that's why I think it's just a 7 out of 10. Like, it's I enjoyed the game as an experience, but at the same time, it could have done a lot of things better, but it didn't actively make me hate my time with it. And if people wanted to give it a 6, I can totally see it. I can see if people actually like the combat, then or something like that, then I can see why people might want it higher. Or if you really dig the lore, like you really just read everything, because the first half I was really dedicated, 15-ish hours, and then afterwards I'm just like, I barely paid attention. I'm like, okay, if it's I figured out how this game works, and then I knew that these are the key items that I really need to pay attention to,
Mhm.
and there's maybe one or two puzzles where I'm like, okay, now I have to check to see some of the files that I didn't read, and then like, okay, got it. It really didn't punish me too badly. Um, but as a first outing for this developer or first major outing, then I'm like, hey, I can see why they did a why people think they did a really good job. I think it came out in especially the time it came out. Um, it was refreshing in a lot of ways, and it's also really gutsy for them to still stick to their release date when they released the same time as Silk Song. Uh,
Yes.
but what they did do is they released a bunch of early copies to a lot of influencers beforehand too, which was a smart move, and also proves that they were comfortable enough with the game, despite it being critically panned as like combat being lackluster.
Hmm.
But other than that, it's like it was pretty well received, and I'm like, it shows a lot of confidence when you're willing to release. So I think there was more like almost like a 2-week release window prior. They were giving out early codes or something like that, and that's you don't see that much anymore. So that's kind of a cool thing. I hope the next thing. I hope they if they make a sequel, I would like to see a sequel, and I would like to see it more fleshed out. But I think they could do a really good job of that. But anyways, anything else they make, so long as they have a little bit more time, I'm looking forward to it because once again, it's 35 hours. It did a lot of like I enjoyed quite a bit of that time. I just want more production value in it. I guess is what I say. Like it's because it's a C team, right? It feels like an indie game. It doesn't feel like a B game. It's like
Mm.
it's I want it to at least bump up to that B tier status where like they have some more money back them. I don't necessarily need the AAA experience, but I feel like they need to put more voice acting into it. Do maybe a few more cutscenes. Not make everything just a text dump. You know, so.
Yeah, yeah. I think that I would look at a sequel to this, but I would also, even before looking at it, really, I would probably need to have somebody tell me, hey, it's better than the last one. Um,
Also appropriate for them to price it at $50.
50 on PC,
Or
60 on a PS5.
so, but still 60 as opposed to 70. It wasn't a $70 game.
Yeah,
And
that
hey,
was a smart move.
it gave everyone the right expectation to, as well. So I'm like, uh, all right. I mean, we talked a lot about this, but we meant to talk about it last week. Um,
There's just too much. There's this, and then all the news. There's just too much.
Yeah, and so the other thing, all right. So the other things we've been playing, uh, we haven't fully finished yet. So we want to, we'll and plus we want to play the other side. Is you've been playing Hades 2.
Hmm.
You put a bit of time into it already. The first weekend, the first day you got it, you put in like 8 hours, like right out the gate,
Yeah, I think
and
I
then
think I put in 7 hours that first day, but I knew that I wasn't gonna have very much time to play through the week, so I've only put in almost 10 hours up to now, and it's getting now to where the runs to where each run is taking a pretty good amount of time. So it's a little bit harder to commit, but I want to try to. I don't know when I'm gonna beat it, but I do want to try to get all the way through. It's supposed to be between a 20 and more like a 25-hour game. So, yeah.
okay, that's cool. I want to get on that one. I also part of my brain's broken where like I'm like 2 runs away from beating Hades 1. I just never got around to
Oh,
finishing it. No, those runs were like half an hour apiece, so like that was pretty easy to do. Uh, but I'm so close to actually getting story content, not like completionist, just
right, right.
the actual main story. Um, and I've been playing Ghost of Yote. I came out. It came out just the other day, and I put in like 12 hours into it already.
It came
So
out as we record this yesterday, and you put in 12 hours. So it's I don't think you've had even 24. You've had more than 24 hours to that it's been out, but it hasn't been out for very much longer than that, and you put in
but
12. So
by the time we started recording, we had like a day. The game's been out for like a day and a half. Okay,
yeah,
like so
yeah.
that's pretty much what we're looking at. So I played for a third of that time.
That's pretty
The
close.
sacrifice.
That's pretty close to like Twitch streamer numbers right there. I mean, that's pretty close.
Hey, it's pretty good. I'm
Oh,
digging
good,
it so
good,
far.
good.
And that's what I'll say about it for now, because I know you've been itching to play this one too, especially since you just got off of Ghost of Tsushima. I'm actually really curious to hear about what you say. Like, I only got to dabble in Ghost of Tsushima like on the PlayStation 5.
Mm.
Though because I loaded my PS4 save, I now got the platinum. Like because my buddy actually I gamed with a buddy and he's like, "Congrats on getting the platinum on Ghost of Tsushima." I'm like, "Oh yeah, I didn't realize you saw that." Okay, yeah. What it did is I loaded my save, went to New Game Plus, and it just gave it to me right out the gate. So I didn't have to work for it.
You heard it here first, people. Joe is a platinum cheater,
I put in the time the first time through. Okay,
but not
thank you
the
very much.
second time. You got that
It
second platinum.
rewards hey, it rewards the time I spent already. The only thing I wish it did is I wish
In,
sequels would give some sort of save data crossover, some sort of like nubbin, like you know, a
mm,
pre-order bonus. You're like you completed the first game, or you know like just the story. Here's a bandana just to say that you did it because
it's
you know
it's a
I always,
it's a reward for your investment. It's a return on investment.
so the but no I delayed our recording because I was playing Ghost of Yote,
Mhm.
and I was doing like an optional quest line, which is you know like a bunch of duels. And I'm like, yeah, I just got to do this duel real quick, so I'm gonna be late. And then I finished that duel. Then I went to Infinite, and I went, oh, it unlocked a new duel, the last duel. Okay, cool. Unlocked that last duel. I'm like, oh wait, there's another one, and I figured out the thing that needed to be done. So I'm like, okay, that's an easy. And I went to do the last one, and it just kicked my teeth in. It went like
Well,
from passable to just brutally hard for at least for my character where they are now. And it's just like it reminds me of God of War, the remake or whatever, or the reboot. Uh, but the Valkyrie fight, like it's just like
oh
it
yeah.
went instantly really hard. I'm nowhere near OP in this game. I'm like I need to visit majority of the hot springs to increase my health. I
Mhm.
need to visit a lot more or do a lot more samurai the bamboo chopping to increase my spirit energy. So there's a lot that I can do for this game, and I'm only using like the first set of armor that I got. I was able to do all the duels. I only had like I think I only died like one duel like I had a harder time with, but after like 3 or 4 tries, not a problem. Uh, but yeah, like I mean, the game's really fun. It's good
Yeah.
exploration.
Meanwhile, like while you're going through a couple of those duels for half an hour, I'm freaking sitting here ready to do the podcast. So I hope that that last guy does go ahead and kick your teeth in a couple more times, and I want you to
Don't
think of me
worry,
every time he does.
don't worry. I'll just have the satisfaction of knowing that you'll never make it to him because you'll quit the game by
Okay, if you say so, if you say so.
then. Prove me wrong. Yeah,
I don't know if I should play this game on hard like I did Tsushima, but I might. I don't know. We'll see.
yeah. You remind me of like there was a part in the Xbox 360 era where I was just like, okay, ramping everything up to hard mode for the challenge. I don't have that kind of time in my life, so I will set whatever default difficulty the game has because I can't afford to spend an extra amount of time. But the actual random counters are pretty good. Everything is like I said. Once again, I'll give my full thoughts later next week when you
Yeah.
get to actually play the game a little bit. Hopefully, uh, and I will hopefully have it beat by then, and then
Okay.
hopefully I'll be playing Hades by then. So,
Okay. Okay.
uh, anyways, that's so sorry guys. We'll talk more about that next week. All right, so we're gonna just go ahead and skip what we've been watching and save that for next time around because we have some news to get to. So, Nick, what do you got for us?
Yeah. So there's quite a bit of different things that have happened. So you know, most notably, um, I would say the most notably is the Xbox Game Pass pricing changes. Some might call them, uh, some might call it a price hike. So the long and short of it is that,
Portion. Okay.
yeah, yeah. So basically, the long and short of it is that I think this is for Ultimate. Uh, that Game Pass Ultimate is going from $20 a month US to $30 a month US. So the total on that now is going to be 360 a year. Just to kind of put it in context. There are some other
Yeah.
things that are kind of going along with that. So it's not just a straight price hike. They are giving you a little added value. So I wanted to say that first
So
as well is that they are so the number of day one releases is being increased to 75 per year. I don't know what it was before, but that's what the article I read said is it's being increased to 75 per year, and that Ubisoft Plus Classics, which was $8 US on its own, like as an add-on, I guess. Well, that's now going to be included in Ultimate. So So there is a bit more added value there. Um, and then so so there's one other little thing I'll throw on here that um, kind of along with this, it seems that Xbox has removed the 10% discount of Call of Duty add-on content for Ultimate subscribers. So that's not really much of anything, but it is a little something for them to kind of have to take it away. So I wanted to mention that. But yeah, and there is one extra thing that is kind of newer news today about the cloud gaming, but we can get to that in a second. What are your thoughts on the price hike as it is right now?
Um, it's terrible. I mean, they just recently increased the price not that long ago. Microsoft comes out with their little press conference to try to gaslight us all because they're like, we heard you gamers, and we're giving you what you wanted," and like, it's like, no, you aren't. They've, you know, day one games used to be on all tiers. Now they've relegated to only ultimates. Uh, because what they did is they changed out the bottom tier to the core experience beforehand, which was like just only playing online for the most part. So it used to have more, then they stripped it away, and now they're like, oh, but we're changing it now. We're giving you slightly more for it, which not really a whole lot. Um, they're the big thing is like now PC is bundled with these things. Like, well, you're also jacking the PC prices probably because the people who play on PC and Game Pass probably only do it on that. Most people who have Xbox, Game Pass, they don't care. Like, they would have gone with PC automatically if that's what they wanted. If they wanted to play your games, they don't necessarily care to jump between the PC and an Xbox. You're either Xbox console user or PC Xbox Game Pass person. You're usually not both in between. They're trying to upsell, give you this illusion that they're upselling this ultimate as a value proposition. You can get all these day one games. Well, very few games are actually like Microsoft alone. Yes, they're working out deals to give you, and there's 75 games for this next year, not every year, not guaranteed. Um,
Yeah.
it's once again for the price of a 50% price hike. That's insane. For say, I want to play the new Call of Duty game. Within 3 months, I've now overpaid for Call of Duty. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's like if that is
Yeah.
your main game, you might as well just buy Call of Duty. And that's how most people are going to look at for most of these games. Like, it was fun to dabble in, but it's like if you wanted day one, but they probably saw enough people bounce after that first month, especially when you got stuff like recently Silk Song and Call of Duty coming out, and then you have here was that the Outer Worlds coming
Mm-hmm.
up. That's the new big release for them. So they're like, okay, we have some big stuff coming down the pipeline or coming out right now. So now's the time to crank up the prices to really screw over because now is the best time to jump in. And instead of working with us, they're like they know it's now the best time to jump in, so they're going to go ahead and do their best to screw over the customer base. Uh, they've been doing a lot of things that have been questionable. Uh, their pricing models. They've increased Game Pass like twice within the last year or like year and a half. They've increased the console prices. If you look at the ROG Xbox Ally X, that's an insane price for that thing. It's what is going on with them? I don't know. I feel like they are a company that has no clue what to do with their brand, and they're just somebody up high who also doesn't know what they're doing is saying this is what we need to do. We need to make more money and we're going to squeeze it out. Like, it's it's very backwards, and they've done such a good job in the last handful of years of building up this gamers first, consumer friendly reputation, trying to make everything all about the gamers. And now that Nintendo has shown their true colors. And also, PlayStation's increased their console, so I'm not just going to blame Microsoft. They're not the only ones who increased their 5-year-old console. But no one's going to be spending like at this point in the game. Like, who wants to spend an extra, like, I think it's a thousand or it's $800 or something like that for their highest tier Xbox.
Mm.
800, I think, for like a 2 terabyte X Series X. It's insane. Uh, they have, I don't know. I feel like they don't know what they're doing. And any goodwill is just being shunted. They are being critically panned all across the board for this action.
Yeah, so critically, yeah, people are dropping out or saying that they're dropping out of Game Pass, or like it's just not worth it, blah blah. There's a lot of comments like that. Every time there's a price change, price hike like this, you're gonna see that. Um, so the question is, are these stupid moves? And the definition of stupid in this case is it ends up hurting their business or causing the business to go under or something like that. And so if they are stupid moves, I think that we're going to see some changes in the future that kind of go back on this, become more hearts and minds gamer friendly. But typically, to me, you don't make moves like this when you are doing poorly or doing weak. Um, I think that it is not a good look. I'll say this too. It's not a good look that they've had 2, 3, 4 layoffs at Microsoft that were not small, pretty big layoffs, each one in kind. And you're
Almost
gonna,
for this year. I mean,
yeah,
that's the thing. You know,
exactly. So you had several layoffs in the past couple of years. You've had a couple pricey changes and stuff like that, and now this price hike. So it is like a double whammy from a hearts and minds kind of looking at the company standpoint. It's like you guys are just like laying waste to people's jobs, which I don't know how that's going to help you get us more games, but you're just laying waste to people's jobs and you're raising the price on the stuff. So I guess that's maybe how you plan to pay for it, I guess. To me, the only explanation that I have, if this, you know, if they're not just doing gangbusters with Game Pass and it's just just a very quiet or silent majority of people who really do like it a lot and just aren't going to say anything. The only other explanation beyond that is just how much money Activision Blizzard and mostly Activision, mostly Call of Duty is making for them. It's like I've always, known that Call of Duty is a money printer. And it could just be that like, hey, Call of Duty is just printing so much money for us that we can do basically anything we want with the rest of the business as long as we let that golden goose keep laying eggs, or that goose keep laying the golden eggs. Like, we're just gonna leave that alone, let them do their thing, and everything else we can just hike the prices up to, all get out, and we'll still make money off of it. We'll be fine, or whatever. It is a little bit odd. The only part of it, the only other part of it that we should talk about now is that there has been some reports. I'm seeing some reports from both IGN and Kotaku, which I'm not sure where their source is exactly, but they both seem to think it was reasonable enough to put in their periodical. Basically, they're saying that Microsoft is reportedly testing free cloud gaming supported with ads with monthly play limits. So this seems a little bit odd to me because typically when you have a price hike like this and you have the plan to do free cloud gaming with ads, or ad supported cloud gaming, you would do that at the same time. You would have a little bit of honey to go with the medicine. It's like, hey, we're going to do this crappy stuff, but hey, we're going to give you the option to, if you don't want to do all that, you can come down here. So usually those things would come together. And for them to be separated like this and for it to be a report that they're considering, that they're testing doing it, instead of just coming right out, makes me think that it might be a bit of a, okay, this is worse than we thought. We need to go ahead and leak, whatever, that we're testing this, get some goodwill back, and then if people really like that idea, then we'll go forward with it or something. It just something smells strange about that whole thing, and then we have to wait for it to like really shake out to see how it's going or how it's going to go. But I think that they probably should go ahead and do something like this. I don't know what kind of restrictions there would be on monthly, because it's like you're playing the game, or you're watching an ad. It's like a 2 minute ad, and that buys you like several hours of playtime, is what they're saying. Which over time, I can just imagine this being put into effect, and then over time, that, let's say, it buys you 3 hours of playtime. That would slowly get squeezed down and down and down, with more and more ads being put in, is what I imagine. But like the play limits, like monthly limits, it's like, what are you going to limit me to like 20 hours a month? I mean, that's not nothing. That's like 5 hours a week. I'm kind of lucky if I can get that in some of the busier times of my life. But if you're like a reasonably hardcore gamer, or even a pretty regular gamer, I feel like that's not very much. I don't know what they're going to end up with. They could be like 50 hours, something like that. It could be like 100 hours. I don't know. There's just a lot of questions. And right now, this just seems kind of, it's odd, and I just can't. I mean, I'm kind of with you. Like, I don't really understand. I don't really understand what they're trying to do in the day to day, like with these moves like this. I think I understand the long game. I think the long game is cloud gaming, but the steps from here to there seem a little bit all over the place to me.
Well, I mean, people have been saying for a very long time now how the Game Pass business model was unsustainable. And this is only adding, like, more fuel to that fire, where it's like, yeah, this it apparently must be so, because like I said, they keep on jacking the prices substantially. And if you try to be like, well, Netflix does it and it gets away with it, I'm like, yeah, but they also make some of the most generic average content you can do, and it kind of ruin the landscaping. Imagine if Xbox or Microsoft were to formulaically make the same amount of games in that same manner. We'll take a genre. Bring back the RTS. Okay, so think Command and Conquer, but stripped down to the bare bones essentials. Make sure that it's only a 6 hour experience for this long, and then you can make another 6 hours experience. Sequel series. It's just
Which
like
is the
they're
same
not.
game, but just with a couple added colors.
Yeah, it's like we'll add a couple new units, or and, it's like, or a new team. We'll add a new team, but all the teams aren't as in depth as, say, a normal game would be, because we're not going to add that much depth to the game. That would be the Netflix business model. It's just like we can't really make. Every now and then they'll come up with something great, but everything else is going to be pretty shallow. All the games have to be within this time bracket.
Mhm.
And this budget to make, that would be a pretty terrible way to have your gaming experience.
Because
The other, yeah,
Well, I was just gonna say, because too, like, if Game Pass was doing gangbusters, and it was just like whipping ass like all over the place, I feel like we would be hearing about it. I feel like Xbox would be coming out with numbers saying, "Hey Sony, hey Nintendo, look, we're doing all of these crazy Game Pass numbers. You guys are in the past, we're in the future, blah 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 blah, But we're really not, but I'm not really hearing that. I mean, they seem to be proud of it, whenever they come out and kind of talk a lot about it, but it's like, well, how much is pride on your success versus an ad for people to go and do it, or to go and buy it. So the things are not adding up. They're just not adding up, and it's just so strange.
but aren't you glad that all the Ultimate members will have the ability to play all those Ubisoft classic titles, like the old Assassin's Creed and Far? Aren't you just so excited that that's the only way you'd be able to play those games in today's society?
You mean
I mean, you can
you
really
mean
probably get them for like $5, probably cheaper on Steam sale. It's Steam sale going on right now. I'm betting you can probably pick them up way cheaper,
you
for
can
pennies on the dollar. Why the hell would I want to have a streaming service to play those old games? Or Fortnite Crew, whatever the hell that is.
Yeah, I didn't know what
Uh,
that was either.
yeah, but that's coming in November. Okay, well, quick side tangent. I should have probably mentioned this. I should have probably threw this in anyways. Uh, but Fortnite did the Daft Punk experience over the weekend.
Oh, I did
That
watch
sucker
it.
was amazing. It was actually like stellar. I knew they've done concerts for a very long time. Um, but the fact is, like, this thing was above and beyond any expectations given. The opening intro is like 15 minutes long, and it's great. It's a great little piece. If that was it by itself, I would have been happy. And then watching the actual full 30-minute like concert thing that they actually did, uh, and how curated it was very well done. They did, and then they added a bunch of extra little rooms like you can do. One room is they'll do the music video for Around the World, but they do it with Legos. So everyone's a Lego block, which is hilarious. They have a whole room for just DJ mixing. You can literally mix and match beats and other layering tracks of Daft Punk songs, which actually has Starboy in there, which I was actually surprised because of the whole collaboration with The Weeknd. Or it's like, so it's like I'm surprised they got access to that. The only thing missing from their catalog would have been probably mostly Tron related, right? And Disney ain't gonna let that go. But no, it was a super awesome concert thing. Plenty of videos out there for it. Honestly, I was like blown away just how good it was. And I give Fortnite a lot of crap. I know a lot of people talk about it being like the metaverse,
Mhm.
that we currently have. Stuff like that is what sells me on it. And like, that's pretty awesome. I just have to give credit where credit's due. And also they've announced one of the new future collaborations is going to, of course, be we talked about it before, the property, but K-pop Demon Hunter is now going to be coming to Fortnite. So go figure. Everything else is in Fortnite, but once
We're
again,
in
it's like,
Fortnite. I'm just
yeah.
joking. We're not.
I played once. Me and my nephews, we won the match, and then I said I'm out. I'm gonna quit while I'm ahead. Uh,
Undefeated. Joe's
yes.
undefeated in
Uh,
Fortnite.
uh, you know, me one, Fortnite zero, and we'll just leave it at that. But yes. So, anyways, that was it was the fact that you brought Daft Punk up, from postmortem, and provided a really solid experience. And unfortunately, probably won't get another concert experience from them uh, anytime soon. Maybe after a reunion tour after like a decade or something like that.
Yeah.
But anyways, besides the point, Game Pass. A lot of people who we've sung its praises in the past on how great a value proposition it was, how it's super convenient, super great, is no longer a value proposition. It is now a piece of crap. And unfortunately, a lot of people who are also very much who is on board the bandwagon of like Game Pass is a great thing to have. It's awesome to have all these games at your fingertips, especially like. But now it's how can you
I mean,
justify
yeah.
uh
If you really,
360 a year?
yeah, if you really don't care about what you play, you just want something to play, anything to play, then yeah, this is a great deal. But if you have games that you are like, hey, when this game comes out, when Ghost of Yotei comes out, when Hades comes out, when the new Vampire Bloodlines comes out, um, I want to get that like right then, or like maybe like a month later when it's like 2% on sale or whatever. It's like you're not going to have money for all of this. And if you was like, well, I can play a bunch of random stuff that might be good. I might discover some hidden gems. Cool, cool, cool. Or I can actually pay not that much more for a game that I know is gonna be really good that I really want to play. So yeah, that is another part of the weird thing. I feel like I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop on this.
Yeah. So the for right now at this very moment, because the Steam auto sale is going down, Claire Obscure Expedition 33 is on sale for $45 on PC.
Okay.
All right, so you got $45 for this game, um, and just the base model. Silk Song is currently $20.
Still 20.
So for
Okay.
so yep, so it's still 20, $65. So just barely over 2 months of this new Game Pass Ultimate, and you got two really amazing games that will take up quite a bit of your time.
Basically
So
two games that are going to be in the short list for game of the year for by pretty much
yeah,
everybody. Yeah.
so it's one of those things that like unless if you need games like if you want that new game right away, I mean very few games on Xbox is going to make you be like, especially exclusives. like the new Gears that comes out. I mean, it's gonna be fun, but at the same time, do you need it right away? Or will you it's like, honestly, if you wait like 3 months down the road until a holiday hits where they drop it like 20%, it's
Yeah.
you're better off buying to own then. It's
It's strange, man.
okay.
Um,
Anyway, that
uh,
sucks.
uh,
It's yeah.
last thing before going on the next thing is a little bit of a bright spot in this. GameStop says that they're going to keep selling Game Pass for $20. No one knows for how long, but you can go to GameStop and get little cards, and this is the $20 for the ultimate tier. So yeah, they're going to keep doing that. I imagine it's going to be like while supplies last. They didn't say that, but who knows how long they're going to continue to do that? Probably some kind of contractual obligation or something is keeping them able to do that. So that's a little PSA there. Yeah. Okay, so I guess we'll keep going on because there's some other stuff here. EA is going private in a $55 billion deal. Silver Lake, which is a Saudi Arabian investment fund, and Affinity Partners, which it was started by Jared Kushner, the son-in-law of Donald J. Trump. So those two groups pitched in, and they are buying EA. And so yeah, EA is going private. There's not too much more that I was really able to read about that. Joe, is there anything else that you know about it?
No, it kind of came out of left field. It's kind of just really a strange concept, especially now with the heated debate with the whole politics of the comedy fest going on there and stuff like that. It just seemed like a really weird time to just pull it out of nowhere. And yeah, it's I also forgot to mention so allegedly some articles came out or something like that, but Costco is supposed to be confirmed that it's removing Xbox consoles from their sales US and UK.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw a couple reports on that. Didn't really dive too much into that, but also it's just like, oh, that's a weird thing to do all of a sudden. But I mean, once again, jacking up the prices for physical stock, I guess, doesn't help, and also probably the sales. I mean, honestly, at this point in the game, I don't know a lot of people who are running out to buy a new Xbox. Um, so
Yeah,
yeah, it's a weird one.
that's very strange. All right, going on. You may have Joe. You mentioned that you'd heard about this. Tilly Norwood is an AI actress created by Eline Vandervelden. I hope I'm mispronouncing that right. Who is a founder of the AI production company called Particle 6. So the thing about this in the news is that Particle 6 is how do I say this? They are looking for an agent to represent Tilly Norwood, who is their AI actress. And right now, all there is like a 20-second clip or a reel, essentially, of this AI actress in different settings and headshots and smiling and doing different types of acting and stuff like
Like
that.
an AI video of them promoting their own AI person, being like, how other people are saying how great she is, but it's not even a real video. I don't know enough
It's,
about this.
it,
I just think
it,
it's wild.
I mean, to me, it just looked like this is what she could, what we can get her to do, essentially. And I'm kind of like, so this feels like they're trying to they're trying to trigger people is what it feels like because really this isn't an actress, this is a CG company. Like it's like, yeah, they're AI or whatever, but they're not really that much different from a like Pixar or Disney Animation or DreamWorks Animation. Like they're an animation company, they're just using kind of a different tool with it. So it feels like it's just there to kind of trigger people, but it's working. People are triggered. People are not happy. And there's a lot of tweets and stuff from different people that you may or may not have heard of, who like it or
SAG
don't
AFTRA
like it.
doesn't like them at all either. They've
Oh yeah, SAG
not
after has come out and been like, "Hey, this is bad. This is wrong." Blah blah. And really, I think everybody is saying we effing hate this. Um, I think that it is. I think that it is inevitable. I don't think it's good enough yet, but I think that one of these days, unless there are some laws that come in, don't get me wrong. I mean, I could be wrong, and there could be some laws that get enacted, but unless there are some laws that are enacted that make them warn us or tell us, even if there are, that it still may not work. Um, we're going to get an AI actress put in front of us, an AI actor put in front of us, and we're not going to know, and we're not going to be able to tell, and then you're going to like it, and then they're going to be like, and then after he's made 10 movies or she's made 10 movies or so many whatevers, it's going to be like, hey, this is AI, and it's going to be like, holy crap, they got us. And there's going to be a lot of people who are going to grow up with that, and then they're going to be like, oh, it's fine, and that's just how things go on. So I don't know. That's my bleak view of the future.
Yeah, well, the common criticism right now is being like, "Oh, of course, this AI actor is actually an AI actress who's considerably young, and when in the ad it says can be told to do whatever he wants." That's the dark future, and that's the grim reality of what they, because
Oh,
that's the actual ad. It's like, yeah, it's great. Like I'm a director, she does whatever I say. I'm like, that's not the image you want to go for. Um, so yeah, it's once again, I know what you're talking about. I'm like, I think it was one of the uh I can't remember if it was the Animatrix or it was an old anime thing where it was like I think it was Western influenced, but it was uh the idea of cloning and having a genetically superior person
mm-hmm.
and having this one person be like all American like athlete, uh first person to Mars, or something like that, or a trip to Mars, ends up becoming the president, and then after and like late into the career being like, oh yeah, by the way, clone, like our
Mm-hmm.
genetically created human, and then like world turned on his head. Yeah, that I can't remember what movie or like animation that was from. But anyways,
But yeah,
it's
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 coming. That or something like it, but with AI is going to come first, I think. But then that might come
the
too.
idea
But yeah,
the idea of what you're gonna take. I mean, that's the thing is like they're like, well, we're not taking jobs, and then of course SAG is like, hey, you are modeling it after real performances, being so therefore you're stealing the performances from your post. Any Oscar-winning performance, any great monologue, anything with true impact and emotion, you're gonna just take that,
yeah.
steal it, and then make it so you can duplicate it and iterate on it. Um, Now it's like it's it's a dark future. All right, and
It's
unfortunately, yeah.
I don't know any other way around it. It just seems like it's going to be. It just seems very uncertain. It's like I can see ways that it can be done properly and kind of reined in and regulated and stuff like that. And I think that yeah, the copyright stuff. I think there's so much money for the people who are developing this technology. There's so much money in it for them. There's so much money that is being funneled to them that it's kind of that it's pushing down any real conversation about copyright. Like there's not really I'm not seeing a lot of legal action. I'm seeing some, but not seeing like there needs you would think like the way Napster upped into the music industry and all the lawyers immediately picked up their battle axes and went straight to war. Like everybody went like straight to war. And there wasn't anything they could really do to stop it, but they did go to war immediately. That's not happening here. That's not happening because I think that the shoe's on the other foot in this one, where it's the corporations who are like, hey, we can kind of get rid of like all of our overhead here and just have like a suit in an office, press a button and make like $1 billion movie or whatever. Which I
Well,
don't.
in the current climate where you have people who are making, like we used to be afraid of deep fakes, and we can still, but there are still plenty of people now, even though things are clearly AI, who fall for simple clips.
Yep.
And when you have people in high positions of power who are sending fake AI generated videos as a joke, but just sending them on the regular, there's still a small percentage of people who are silly enough to think, oh, this is like legit, or this is real. They don't, or like, because it's being promoted on such a high level.
Mhm.
And that kind of support is overall hurting, like it's a negative mark. We need to There's no way to regulate this. I agree with you that the money is behind the AI. Everyone's rushing towards it, and it's not until it goes really south. But there's going to have to be something major. All we can think of, like, all you can do is think of the worst possible cases where people are like, well, we're gonna fake a whole new news events, like,
Mhm.
we're gonna fake a tragedy
Yeah.
to cover up something
It's
else.
yeah,
You know,
it's like I'm scrolling through X or whatever, and I see like a semi wild video or whatever, and I'm like, and like my first reaction is like, oh, that's kind of weird, or that's kind of cool, and then I'm like, wait, is this AI? Is this just AI? And it looks real enough, but an AI, like actual AI videos don't look this real or whatever. But the time is coming that they will. The time is coming when they will, and then I'm gonna be like, well, I don't really want to see. I'm not gonna scroll through anything on X because everything's fake. Like everything's like not real or not like not real artists, or it's just sort of like AI slop, to put it mildly. That's the way I think that I'm going to feel once this stuff starts happening. But it all remains to be seen. Like, what is it? If it, because like there's things that I know I can't predict, where it's gonna be like, oh, this AI made this thing. Dang, that is actually really good. Dang, that's actually really like touching or whatever. It's like maybe I don't really care who made it or whatever. So I'm just completely up in the air about it.
well, when it comes to the inevitable thing is, that a lot of people are predicting is, the future of a lot of specific jobs that are threatened by AI. Uh, the people who are programming the AI don't need to be good at the job that they're working at. They just need to be good at programming the AI to learn to the job that they need to learn.
Yeah,
So instead of, when it comes to programming a certain kind of video game, I don't necessarily need to know how to program the video game. I just need to know how to manipulate the AI to tweak to make the game that I want, or to
yeah,
do the program that I need. And that's, uh, and especially, like I said, like I said, in the world of deep fakes and everything else like that, you private, privacy is going to be an all-time nightmare. So what's going to stop anyone from projecting your face, my face,
yeah,
or anyone else's, and being like, this is how I feel about a situation where, you never even thought about in reality, but now someone else is pretending to be you, and it sounds pretty close to you. And yeah, that's going to be, until something really bad happens like that. Regulations aren't going to be as fast, in coming. So someone's going to have to get burned on a high level to be like, we're putting our foot down. And
yeah.
that's, yeah.
And that's
All right.
yeah. All right, so a couple more little things here. Amazon is erasing guns from old James Bond posters. This just seems sort of silly to me at first. It is mostly silly to me, but yeah, there so in some places they're just cropping it, like if he's holding the gun like but like below his waist, like down about his side, they'll just crop it to crop his hand out. And but in other places, there's like one of Pierce Brosnan where he clearly had a gun in his hand, and it was like kind of up by his head, and they've just taken that out and made it look like he's just awkwardly holding his hand up by his shoulder.
Weird flex. Yeah. He's just
Yeah,
like,
some sort of weird flex, and I'm like, well, I kind of get it. You're Amazon, and you have people watching movies, but I'm also like, guns aren't really guns aren't really illegal, and these are action movies. These are rated PG-13 already, and I think that children who are older than like 2 or sometimes even 1 understand that guns exist. I just don't. I just like
mind,
it's
mind you,
weird.
My small child would be like, would be instantly happy to see it that has a gun, and I'm like, child, that's a military shooter. You are not watching that. That is not for you. But I want to watch that. I'm like, I like that. I'm like, you like it because you see a guy in a military fatigues carrying an assault rifle. You are not watching that, child. But that's
Yeah.
the parental thing.
Yeah.
I don't let my kid have to run on the TV to click on anything they want. Uh, the UK which Bond is, a character of, like, they have stricter gun laws and they don't give a darn. I mean, it's but and I guess, it worked so well for Yu-Gi-Oh, right? Um, it's where when Yu-Gi-Oh came to America, uh, people were breaking, like they showed the scenes of guys in suits pointing fingers, curved fingers at them, being like, "Hey, you, stop that!" You know, and it's
Mhm.
just like it also works so well in ET, where they swapped it out for walkie-talkies. Spielberg, this
People
is your fault too, you
so
know?
it's just like after Rome fell, and then like the Puritans like took over, they went and painted leaves on all of the crotches, on all of like the genitals, and they like covered up all of the statues that had like
Or they
genitals and stuff
castrated
hanging up.
the statues. Yeah,
Sorry, I'm sorry, what?
or they castrated them all.
Or
You know,
or they castrate the statues, and it's like, this is how is this really different than that? It's just like, just let it be, just let the art be. Like, why you gotta like George Lucas said, adding all this stuff, and you're just mutilating it. Just let it be what it is. Kind of it's just weird. It's just stupid. Okay.
yeah, I mean, they're trying to make it look like a GQ, like magazine cover with Connery and Brosnan and stuff like that, like just flexing an arm. They at least if they were like touching a cufflink or something like that, or like
Yeah.
but that'd be different. But it's once again, it's not. They're not aiming the posters that they've shown. Not even having the iconic, barrel of the gun pointing at the person. It's
Yeah.
just posing with the gun. Uh, it's not threatening. It's just there. There is far worse on the Amazon just homepage as they cycle through, as they try to show a semi horror movie trailer in front of my kids.
Yeah, really.
It's just like, but just on the general feeling, like I don't watch horror movies as a whole because most of the ones, especially like it's just something I just don't watch. So why are you advertising this to me? You should know by my watch history
Yeah.
that is something you shouldn't be promoting to me anyways.
and and
Um,
and people are suspecting, and I suspect that some of this doctoring, I think it could all be done with Photoshop, but some of it I would suspect is being done with AI, which, I mean, that doesn't make it any worse, but doesn't make it any better either. But it's just something a little, just another little kind of like, huh. It's just such an odd choice that they're making. And anyway, I wanted to bring light to it. Two more little things. Netflix looking to hire a director of generative AI for gaming, with starting salary between $430,000 and $840,000. So
that's a
yeah,
big price.
yeah. So they laid off the Oxenfree studio. I forget what they're called, but they laid off those guys. And I think another thing, and so this is so it's a little bit one of those, this is just isn't a particularly good look. um and yeah, I just wanted to bring it up. So they haven't hired anybody yet, but people noticed it, and people are talking about it.
All right.
Last thing, Sony is reportedly set to release a updated PS5 DualSense controller with a removable battery. I didn't get to read any more of this article, but I was like, oh, okay, cool. I guess if your PS5 DualSense controller starts to wane in its overall battery life, I mean, this is kind of the answer for that. But also, it is saying that it's an updated PS5 DualSense controller, so it ostensibly would have more than just a removable battery, maybe some other little advancements as well. Which, controllers are already $70. If this was $80 and it did a little bit more, a little bit better, and had a removable battery, I'd be like, okay, I might get a second controller. We'll see how it goes. But I just wanted to bring this up.
Yeah, it's one of those things that like some people prefer to have the battery in just because they do last quite a while. They die over time, but you have a higher tendency of thumbsticks dying out before the battery actually does.
Yeah.
I actually like the fact that, for example, the Xbox controllers for the series have just double A's in the back, and I could just use my rechargeable batteries at any given time. So that was always just convenient for me. That way, in case if they do die, I just have a spare ready to go. I don't have to worry about being tethered at any given point. So having replaceable batteries in most things, I prefer, especially with all the wireless tech gear, wireless microphones and stuff like that. It's to not be able to change out a battery, uh, just makes it less user friendly. So yeah, I think that's good on them for doing changing it up, and it's should be the way they do it in the future too. I think.
Okay. Yeah, me too.
And then real quick, just Amazon's, for those who have Amazon Prime, and you do don't forget to check out Amazon Prime Gaming, because they're going to be dropping Fallout New Vegas for free, and Fallout 3 Game of the Year edition. Fallout Vegas is supposed to come out mid October, October 16. October 23 is Fallout 3. Uh, there's other games as well, but I mean, if you're already subscribed to Prime, just sign up for the look up at Prime Gaming. Those games will be through GOG, um, so that way you can play them DRM free. It's something really nice to do. Every now and then, every couple months, I always just remember to check, and then I end up getting like 50 emails being like, "You have all these new games." So yeah, for sure. All right, guys. Well, if you made it to the end, we appreciate it. Thank you. And Nick, what are some words of wisdom you have for the people out there today?
Um, when make sure to have AI write your resume so that you can go get a new job when AI takes your job.
And therefore, you can say you have experience working with AI,
That
but
is
make sure
true.
to have a different AI proofread your stuff because you probably aren't going to do it yourself.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Once again, this is ADP, episode 146. Until the next time, y'all take it easy.
Bye.